We are talking about the ways that music can motivate us, can rally us, can encourage us. And as you may have noted from last week, for those of you who were paying attention to our speaker schedule, I am not Molly. This is not the first time that I have wished I was a black woman, but it is the most disappointing, both for me and for you. There is shoes that I will not try to fill, but I do want to walk into the door that she was going to open for us. And by the way, Molly had an unexpected family emergency, couldn't be with us. She let us know early enough so that we could pivot, and we're going to do our very best to try to get her back and try to give this talk. This has been a talk we've been working with her on for over 8 months now. We've been trying since last year to get her and give this talk and combine it with the music. So it will happen. But I do want to talk about the way that music gathers people, the way that music carries pain, and the way that music can help bring about change. Some songs decorate the room. Some songs are good background music. Others completely rearrange it. Other songs demand our attention. They can't just simply fade into the background. They raise the temperature. They refuse to let us pretend that everything is fine. And this morning I want to share more and I want to explore more how songs can become about more than entertainment. So first, songs have the ability to gather the scattered, which is kind of a religious, Christian-y sounding term. But what that means, I think, has a deeper implication because music gives voice and has always been able to give voice to the marginalized, to those who feel that their voice is not being heard. And music has a way of gathering people together. The first thing that songs do in movements is they gather and they rally people. I've been picking song titles for each of these weeks around, I've been picking talk titles that correspond with song titles. This week was People Get Ready, and I had a dozen or more I could have picked from. But I was really glad because when we were sharing about songs that have impacted us, somebody said this morning that People Get Ready was one of those songs, and so I'm glad. People Get Ready was written by Curtis Mayfield. It was recorded by the Impressions in 1965, right in the heart of the civil rights era. And on the surface, the song is rather innocuous. It's about a train coming and getting on the train, but anybody who understands the history of black spirituals knows that this imagery ran deep, and it reflected imagery about an underground railroad and a way towards freedom. The central image is this train coming that resonates with black spirituals. And Martin Luther King Jr., in his book, Why We Cannot Wait, he said this. He said, "Civil rights activists sing the freedom songs today for the same reason that the slaves sang them. Because we, too, are in bondage, and the songs add hope to our determination that we shall overcome, black and white together, we shall overcome someday." We talked in pre-talk how some songs have an aspirational nature to them. They sing about a future that isn't here yet, but one that we hope is coming, one that is right around the corner. It's painting a picture for a future that's not here yet. King said famously, the freedom songs played a huge part and a vital role in the civil rights struggle. They gave people courage and brought together a sense of unity. And songs also speak truth to power. Famously so, songs have been used to rally a generation, to rally a group, to rally a people together, and to speak truth to power, even when that truth is difficult to hear. And Nina Simone was the master of that. She said, an artist's duty, as far as I'm concerned, is to reflect the times. I don't think you have a choice. How can you be an artist and not reflect the times? To me, that is the definition of an artist. We know her for songs like Feeling Good and I Put a Spell on You, but beyond her popular songs that we love to enjoy and jazz out to, she wrote some of the more powerful, poignant accusations against the brutality of the Jim Crow movement. She was a classically trained pianist and one of the most fearless artist activists during the civil rights era. Her protest song, Mississippi Goddamn, was written in response to the 1963 assassination of Medgar Evers and the 16th Street Baptist Church bombing in Birmingham, where 4 black girls were killed. Nina Simone does what many folk artists do, which is to subvert expectations. Remember last week we talked about the ways that we predict rhythms and our brains derive a sense of pleasure from anticipating musical scores resolving? That same thing can be masterfully used by artists when they combine funny, poppy, feel-good music with deeply moving lyrics. As a matter of fact, some of the best have taken really, really dark lyrics and paired it with a tune that doesn't match, and that juxtaposition is what jolts you awake and what makes you pay attention. This was a recording in 1965 from Nina Simone performing her song Mississippi Goddamn after the church bombing. To be able to communicate through music and to be able to speak to other people who heard those lyrics and resonated when she said, "I don't belong here, I don't belong there." She was able to communicate that through song. After hearing of the Birmingham bombing, Nina Simone she said, at first I tried to make myself a gun. I gathered some materials. I was going to take one of them out, and I didn't care who it was. I think we can resonate with that kind of anger in a response to a mass shooting or some form of violence that we just break over. Then my husband said to me, "Nina, you can't kill anyone. You're a musician. Do what you do." She said, when I sat down, the whole song happened. I never stopped writing until the thing was finished. She wrote that song in just about an hour, and it poured out, and so many other songs of protest poured out of her. And there is a rich, rich history of using music to bring about social change. What is a protest song? I think Phil Oach said it best. He said a protest song is a song that is so specific you cannot mistake it for bullshit. You say it the way it is. He had a similar sense of urgency, a very different style. He preferred the term topical singer over protest singer. He said one good song with a message can bring a point more deeply to more people than 1,000 rallies. Osh believes that songs could clarify what speech is often blurred. And he wrote his songs with the urgency of someone reading the newspaper and then immediately reaching for his guitar. Phil is the reminder that some songs are not meant to soothe the room or even to make us feel good, but they're meant to provoke us. Because songs and music at its best turns listeners into participants. Remember last week we were talking about that. Music and rhythm have the ability to move us from our head into our body. And songs at their best have the ability to move us out of our heads and our bodies and into action. Because the third things that songs do is they turn listeners into participants. Pete Seeger, who was a folk singer, banjo player, he was a lifelong activist himself. His skill set was in popularizing the staples of the movement and in leading movements like a grand song leader. Songs like We Shall Overcome and If I Had a Hammer and Where Have All the Flowers Gone. His genius was not just in writing or performing these songs, but teaching groups of people to sing them together. He turned audiences into engaged participants. He said, no one can tell you what a song can do. All you can do is quote people who said, well, that song changed my life, or something like that. I like his muted, honest humility there. Because we all know that some gifts take on a life of their own, and some songs do that as well. It's exemplified, I think, best through Dylan, another song activist, but he probably wrestled more with his place in various movements and how his songs were used. He was famous for writing such great lyrics. The battles outside ragin' will soon shake your windows and rattle your walls, for the times they're a-changin'. He gave poetic shape and wording to the questions that many people were carrying. Part of the Vietnam era movement that helped galvanize social movements. And I know many of you are old enough to remember the way these songs landed on you at the time. I wasn't a child of the Vietnam era. I grew up in the 70s as a young child, and I was already a young child by the time these movements had shaped so much of our country. But I've always been fascinated by the 60s, and I love studying the social change and unrest that happened in that particular decade. And you cannot study the 60s without getting into the music of the 60s and how it was in the water. If you were a musician, the pressure was on you to speak out against these things that were happening. Vietnam War was happening. Drafts and civil rights injustices. And Dylan was not always comfortable being treated as a movement spokesperson. And sometimes music and songs can outgrow the artist's intention. And Dylan shows how a song can sometimes become a vessel for a generation's questions, even if that songwriter refuses to become the tour guide. He can provide the resources, even if he himself or she herself are not the ones leading the movements. Because there are all sorts of artists, and there are some artists who write with an intensity and a passion that they can give that gift to the world, but then they're not the person to stand and perform. And they share it. A song can move through culture in a way that a songwriter cannot control. This is still happening. What I like is that we don't live in a culture that has formally embraced social justice movements through song. That is still very much a part of our world today. This article said that in Minnesota there is this emerging singing resistance movement. And if you Google singing resistance and find some of their social media sites, you'll find that this group has gone from a single group to dozens and then hundreds across the United States. They've begun organizing songbooks that you can download through their social media platforms and on their website. Simple songs and chants that you can sing at rallies and No King rallies, and ways that you can use your voice as parts of the protest. Because if you've ever been at a rally or a protest, you know that there's many ways that you can be seen. You can be holding the signs, and you can also let your voices be heard. And voices raised in chant, in song together. It's powerful. There's another modern troubadour of sorts that has emerged quite a bit on social media. If anybody in here has seen Jesse Wells on your TikTok feed or on YouTube, he's a young man that emerged kind of post-COVID and stumbled into this songwriting style. He has the ability to pen these songs and to sing them with a Dylan-esque voice, oftentimes outside in fields under power lines. His name is Jesse Wells. Has anybody heard of Jesse Wells by chance? Good, we got a few folks in here. And I believe he's going to be in concert here in Grand Rapids. Is it August? Is that correct back there, Teresa? Is that in August? So if you want to see him. He is a modern songwriter that embodies this protest aesthetic. Here's a song that he did that became very popular in regards to ICE that he performed. Ladies and gentlemen, Jesse Wells. It's okay to laugh. It's what he writes, the kind of songs that make you uncomfortable enough hearing it. I'll play two more clips because he doesn't just talk about political issues. There's a lot of social issues. One of the songs I like here is one that he did called "The Poor." We were talking in pre-talk about the ways that music has moved us, and each of us have probably our own stories about a song, a concert, a rally, a chant that moved us and stuck with us. And music can stick with us in ways that words can't. Trust me, it's very frequently been incredibly frustrating to me that I have the ability to speak and not sing. I can sing, you wouldn't want to hear me sing. But I have a lot of respect for the words that are sung and the songs that are sung because music connects at a deep, deep level. We know historically that Homo sapiens have been making music for as long as there has been recorded history and way before that. It comes naturally. We're not the only species that sing together. You've heard flocks of birds singing together, whale songs that can go on for 40, 50, 60 minutes without repeating. There's a depth of music that Maya Angelou, a week ago, we said, that the universe has a rhythm and that all of the universe dances. I think when we sing and when we connect with music, we connect with something that is so deep within us that it transcends a lot of the other bullshit, as Phil said. It connects us with a truth that is harder to speak with just words alone. Friday night, a few of us went down to a concert in Three Oaks, Michigan at the Acorn, which is a new venue that I'd been to. I loved it. Had a wonderful venue set up there. But Grace Tyson Trio was there along with Spencer LaJoy. And what an amazing, amazing show. And I've seen Spencer perform so many times and of course, have heard, like you, Plowshare Prayer dozens of times by now. And it doesn't matter how many times I hear that song, it's always going to pluck the strings of my heart in a way that few songs can. It's going to give me goosebumps. It's going to stick with me. It's the power that music has to bring about social change, to bring about change in ourselves. In the coming weeks, we're also going to talk about the ways that we can use music as a healing tool and a modality for ourselves. There's songs and chords and styles that naturally soothe us. There's songs that naturally get us into different states. We can use music therapeutically, and it has been used in that way. But for this week, as we are on the cusp of our nation's birthday, as we think about the significance of a country where we don't always feel comfortable with everything that's happening, about living in a country where we wish we could do more, where sometimes it feels like we are just one tiny voice that's being drowned out by all the noise out there. And then you stumble across a songwriter or a song or a movement like the Minnesota Singing Resistance. You hear a song at a No Kings rally, or you hear something on your social media feed, and instantly you're reinvigorated. You're motivated again to go out there, and songs can do that too. They can give voice to words that we don't have, and they can also give us a strength and an energy to go out there and keep trying when it's so difficult. So maybe for you, this 4th of July, as you're getting ready for your political celebrations, maybe you may introduce a few songs into your playlist that give voice to how you really feel about this time and place in human history. Songs that you can sing that bring about a motivation for change, or even like the title of this week's talk, People Get Ready, maybe it's a song that is a song of hope for a future that's not here yet, but one that we can almost see. And maybe we can use music in that way to help us hang on for one day and to keep moving and to keep trying. I'm going to have my good friend Kyle come back up. He has not written a lot of protest songs, and that's okay, but I know that he brings a lot of passion to the songs that he writes. I've been in various rooms where he's played different types of songs that he has performed. And some of the ones that I've become most a fan of are the ones that allow all of us to sing and participate, as well as his great listening songs. I appreciate the versatility of an artist, and the artists that we have come through that, as Andy mentioned, can bring us into these places emotionally that are really profound. So thanks for being here, Kyle.